In this month of January, we take a look at how a girl from a small town in Kansas cheered her way to the streets of London. The Scott City Middle School vocalists are working hard to get ready for a music competition coming up in February. Cloud seeding, an old way of controlling precipitation that has helped farmers everywhere, is still going strong today in Scott County. Then, we'll take you to a group of students fighting to get their name out as Scott Community's forensics team to show us what they're all about. Computer coding, a way for elementary students to see their favorite games come to life. Scott City's wrestling program has come a long way over the years and their progress is substantial. Finally, a peek at a documentary of Scott County's very own Battle Canyon and a commentary from one of our producers about student athletes. I'm Macy Burning and this is the Beaver Backtrack.
From BBN TV headquarters in Scott City, this is BBN TV News. Reporting today, Macy Burning.
The once-in-a-lifetime opportunity has finally come for a small-town girl in Scott Community High School. Lizzie Eikenberry flipped and jumped her way to London, England to cheer in the New Year's parade. Katie Nowak has more on this story.
Lizzie Eikenberry has been a cheerleader here at SCHS for the past 3 years. She expressed that she first began cheerleading because of her competitive nature, and now she enjoys working with her team and especially the bond they share. Recently, she got the opportunity to travel to London, England, as she had been granted the All-American Cheerleader Award. To receive this award, Lizzie had to perform a cheer, dance, and a jump at the UCA camp her team partook in earlier this summer. On December 26, 2015, she set out by herself for the trip of a lifetime.
It wasn't as hard as I thought to be in a foreign country with strangers. It was easy to understand them because they still spoke English. There were a couple of them that had really heavy accents that you couldn't understand.
Lizzie spent a total of 6 days in London, arriving home on January 2nd. While there, she spent 4 days touring and exploring with her fellow cheerleaders.
We toured for 4 out of the 6 days we were there. We went and we saw the London Eye, Buckingham Palace, everything you hear about. We went to Big Ben 3 or 4 times to take pictures.
When she wasn't exploring the city, Lizzie and the rest of the cheerleaders spent their time practicing for the London New Year's Day Parade, the main event of her trip. Thousands of cheerleaders and yell leaders teamed up and performed in front of millions. Lizzie told us that she had a wonderful time, learned new things, and got a taste of what it was like to travel overseas.
I think that if you have the opportunity to do this, you definitely should. We don't realize how little we are here in Scott City.
Lizzie plays a big role in the SCHS cheer squad, and we are all very proud of her accomplishments. From Scott Community High School, I'm Katie Nowak, signing off with BBN TV 12.
Jody Reese, director of the Scott City Middle School Choir, has been given the opportunity to offer her students the chance to showcase their talents in State Honor Choir. Quan Stewart tells us more about their journey.
The SCMS vocalist group is starting the year out on a higher note.
These practices that we hold for the students are during off times. So they either come in early in the morning or they come in during their lunchtime or silent reading time or soon to be after school.
There was a total of 15 students selected for the Kansas Music Educators Association Southwest Honor Choir.
These are great opportunities for these young students to start developing their talents, and they really appreciate having another opportunity to go do that, and I think it's a great opportunity for them, like I said earlier, to sing with larger groups and find some kiddos around the state that are just like them. So it's something as a teacher and an educator that I appreciate too.
All the music groups will come together to perform together in Wichita on the 26th of February. This has been Quan Stewart from the Beaver Broadcasting Network.
Have you ever noticed airplanes flying around during a storm in the summer? Have you ever wondered what they're doing? Well, these airplanes are being piloted for a process called cloud seeding. Chandler Jansen and Zaire Peregrino had the opportunity to speak with Kyle Spencer about this.
Cloud seeding was discovered in the 1940s and started as a program in the 1950s. Cloud seeding is a process to make clouds more efficient throughout their precipitation process. Companies that associate with cloud seeding help develop precipitation, decrease hail, and disperse fog.
During a drought, that's one of the worst times to actually implement a cloud seeding program.
Meteorologists find the forecast for the pilots. They look out for potential clouds and let one or more pilots know so that the pilots can patrol the area.
When we're actually treating clouds to try to reduce hailstones, all you're really doing is trying to change the form of the precipitation that reaches the surface. So you're hopefully increasing rainfall at the expense of decreasing hailstones.
Kyle Spencer has been involved in a cloud seeding program since 1987. Not only has he worked in a cloud seeding in Scott County, but also in California. Cloud seeding is only one of the jobs that Kyle has as a manager for the Groundwater District. The program was initially started to help reduce demands on the Ogallala Aquifer and reduce hail damage on crops.
Hailstones form in very vigorous clouds when there's lots of water, but an inadequate amount of condensation nuclei, so they keep recirculating and growing bigger and bigger and bigger until finally they reach a mass or weight that collapses out the updraft and falls out, which of course damages crops, and that's what we're trying to prevent.
We can't always control the clouds. Cloud seeding can be done only on the ones that are already formed.
During a drought period, often you get very few clouds to work with, and a lot of times the quality of those clouds are not very good anyway, because the atmosphere just really not setting itself up well to be real productive in the precipitation process.
These are just the basics.
Kyle Spencer provided a great opportunity for us to inform our community about cloud seeding. I'm Chandler Jansen.
And I am Zaire Peregrino, here with the Beaver Broadcasting Network.
Not known to very many people, forensics has brought teams from all over the world to compete against each other in speaking events. In their first meet, the Scotts Community Forensics team placed second overall at Southwestern Heights. I had the chance to report on this story.
For many years, students have been participating in Scott City's forensics team. Like many people, you might ask what forensics is. Forensics is a public speaking and acting event that students participate in to ultimately win first or second in order to get into state competition. I asked a few students what their goals were for this season. They all seemed to have two things on their mind.
To qualify for state and also to qualify for national forensics.
Well, I want to qualify for state, and if I can go to nationals, that'll be really good too, because that's fun.
Well, nationals is obviously something that I'm striving for, but state would be nice too.
Summer Ford, coach of the Scott City Forensics team, also has goals set for her team this year.
Well, my goal is always for them to go to tournaments and be successful. We have built a reputation as Scott City that we are very talented and we come and we compete. So my goal is for them to be successful, and I think we determine success by qualifying for state. And then we are also participating on a national level. So their long-term goal is to compete and qualify for a national tournament. We have two options. One is in Sacramento, California this year, and the other is in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I think that's how we deem success, and how all of our goals are to perpetually get to those goals.
The forensics team needs your help to get them to nationals this year. An enjoyable fundraiser coming up is the Mr. SCHS pageant.
We do have some fundraisers coming up. Probably the most exciting one coming up is the Mr. SCHS pageant. This was a brain idea last year of a couple students, and we decided to have a male beauty pageant for the men of SCHS.
For now, the team will work on their goal to reach state and nationals this year.
The skills that you learn in forensics, it's more than just memorizing and going and performing in front of a judge, or learning how to write a speech. Forensics is basically a life skill. We don't call it forensics in real life. It's public speaking.
From the Beaver Broadcasting Network, this has been Macy Burning.
In our world today, computers are used everywhere. Each of those computers are working because of coding. Fourth graders were introduced to computer coding for the first time back in December. Kiana Yeager had an opportunity to sit down with Linda Armstrong, who brought computer coding to SCES.
The fourth graders at the elementary school recently had the opportunity to discover just a little bit of how their favorite games are brought to life. Linda Armstrong, with the help of the fourth grade teachers and the principal, brought what's called computer coding to the students.
Computer coding is the instructions or rules that computers understand, and it's like a recipe. And so if things are written out of order, then the program won't work. I found out about this hour of code is what we participated in from some gifted students over in Leota.
The Hour of Code is a worldwide event that teaches people of all ages about how computers work. As soon as each student is logged on, a whole new world is opened up for them.
Well, first you go through levels, and then you can choose either Star Wars, Frozen, or Minecraft, and then you get to play fun games and do computer coding on that too.
They weren't becoming experts, but they were just getting a taste of what computer programming is like.
The kids get to learn how to make their own video games and levels by coding themselves.
The most famous people that make apps learned from this.
Programs like the Hour of Code are the first page to an entire book of opportunity for future generations. Computer coding has helped plant the seed of new thinking and confidence that these fourth graders can take with them out into this technology-filled world.
21st century things, everybody's going to have to know that because they're going to be computer-based whenever they get out of school from now on. It's just important that students nowadays know something about how computers work.
After you complete a level, you get happy and you can feel like you can do anything.
I'm Kiana Yeager reporting for BBN TV.
Soon to come is a documentary on Scott City's Battle Canyon. While it's still in the making, Hayden Nevels and Ben Wagner have brought you a little sneak peek.
The Northern Cheyenne was sent to Oklahoma to put on a reservation in Darlington in 1877. There was little food, diseases were common, and there were no buffalo.
The Northern Cheyenne in 1877 had been put on a reservation down in Oklahoma near Fort Reno. There was no game. The tribe was starving from lack of food and diseases like malaria and dysentery. The people were dying daily.
So Dull Knife and Little Wolf led around 300 Cheyenne toward the Yellowstone country. The majority of the Indians that followed them were either children, women, or elderly members of the tribe. With only 92 warriors, they began their journey on September 9th, 1878.
The Cheyenne were led by two chiefs. They had the old man chief, Dull Knife, and then their warrior chief, who was Little Wolf. And they had received permission to move their camp away from the rest of the tribes that were there and moved a little farther north from the rest of the reservation. So they decided to undertake this 1,500-mile trek to go back to their homeland in Wyoming and Montana. And by the time the cavalry started after them, the Cheyenne had got as far as west of Dodge City and had crossed the river.
They decided to take what they called the Old Route, which led them west of the Fort Dodge. Unfortunately for them, they were caught by troops from Fort Reno.
The first battle they had was before they crossed the border into Kansas from Oklahoma, and they had a little skirmish there where a few of them were killed at that point.
The fact that out here at the battle, there wasn't really that many warriors, and if you were 13 years of age, you were considered a warrior that young. When you talk about, 85 or 90 possibly, and the military was probably 250 strong, plus all their teamsters and their scouts and everything else, so they probably had, close to 300 people.
As the soldiers had pressed the fight and back to Cheyenne into the canyon, one of the sharpshooters of the Cheyenne riflemen, he fired at Colonel Lewis, who was mounted at the time, and it hit his horse in the hind quarter and knocked his horse out from under him. And so then he picked up a weapon and kept urging these troops forward, back and forth in front of his troops, urging them on foot. So then the Cheyenne sharpshooter took another shot, and this shot hit him in the inside right thigh, and it severed the femoral artery. They put Colonel Lewis on a wagon on the ambulance, and he went back to the southwest beyond the ridge to where the rest of the troops were and the wagons. The next in command, Captain Mock, decided that they had the Cheyenne surrounded. They had them confined to one canyon, and so he relented on the pressing of the attack, and they retreated back to where Colonel Lewis was and where the rest of the troops were. But the next morning, when the troopers come back over to finish the fight, so to speak, they found the Cheyenne had left and had escaped.
The wrestling team has been enjoying much success over the past years and are a known force throughout the state. Christian Wolf caught up with some of the coaches and wrestlers to see just what it takes to be part of Scott City Wrestling.
Coach Lippelman explains how wrestling doesn't just make you a better wrestler, but what comes out of wrestling when you achieve your goals.
They make good wrestlers, good community members, and great human beings.
Our program has progressed this year in a sense that we've noticed people getting better, and that's what we're always looking for. Some of those beginners are starting to not make the same mistakes as they've made early in the season, and they're starting to win some matches.
Zach has been wrestling ever since he was 5 years old. For 13 years now, he strives to get better and better every year.
Every year you just get more technical, what you can do, and that really helps out. I'm definitely excited for state this year, state and regional competition. I think I'll do better there than I did last year, so I'm excited for that.
Zach has also managed to achieve the state title in his weight class at 106 pounds in the year 2015.
We have a very consistent program, and we're always putting people at the top of the medal stands, at the end of the year.
Coach Lippelman and Coach Dirks both look for ways to improve the program year after year. They both are very proud of the wrestling program's progression. I'm Christian Wolf, reporting for BBN TV News.
To wrap up this month's broadcast, Kiana Yeager has produced a commentary on how hard it is to be a student and an athlete in high school.
I'm a student, athlete, but which should come first? My teachers are demanding homework. My coaches are demanding full commitment to the team. So which should come first? And don't get me started on a normal sleep schedule or a social life. After a 2+ hour practice, I go home to a couple more hours of homework. So which should come first? It seems like all I ever do in life is play, study, repeat. It doesn't seem like there's ever enough hours in a day. How does anyone expect us to juggle everything happening in our lives? This isn't a circus. I'm only trying my best. I'm only trying my best. I come to class, I come to practice, but my focus is here. You can't expect me to be thinking about the quadratic formula or how the human body works while I'm working on my shot. You can't expect me to get away with dribbling in class. We're trying to balance it all, so cut us some slack. I'm a student, but I'm also an athlete, so you tell me which should come first.
That will do it for us today. I'm Macy Burning, and for all of us at the Beaver Broadcasting Network, thank you for watching.